Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Patten, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to pre-summer days. Yes, we're in the middle of May, getting ready for Memorial Day weekend coming up, and all of a sudden we've gone from winter right into summer, so which is about what it happens anyway lately. But graduations are upon us, and yes, the Maize and Blue graduate this weekend in Ann Arbor, so unfortunately I won't be there, but anyway. With me today, Chief Osgood, but I know, it seems like I was thinking back today, all the offices, because I've been doing that Police Officer of the Year for 46 years. I just finished it, 46 last month, of all the offices. And the first one I did was Jim Moran, way back in 1971, 72. He was the first one that we honored. And then from there, it went, down the list. And I've got the list home, but all the ones now are either gone or died or whatever. I said, my gosh, 46 years. I said, hopefully I can make it to 50. And to have a lot of them come back for a reunion would be something. But them and the fire department and the teachers, those are the three awards that we used to do in the JCs that I took on when they gave up and brought them to the Grange. Because they used to do Boss of the Year, and we did Business of the Year for a while, but they did other things because they were part of the Chamber of Commerce at one time before they broke away from that. But anyway, getting to speak with you now, I'll tell you, we're talking about Memorial Day weekend coming up, and that seems to be the unofficial start to summer. And of course, for you, I imagine there'll be the usual prom parties around town, graduation day parties, and do you really have a lot of problems with that now, or no?
Proms, not so much. Proms are, generally speaking, much more chaperoned these days than probably maybe a decade or so ago.
Yeah.
We do have, certainly after prom parties and graduation parties. Again, most often we find them to be well attended and well chaperoned.
Yeah.
But that's life, and you're going to have some that are not chaperoned, and you're going to have some problems, which we do all the time.
It's funny when you mentioned decades ago. When I graduated in 70 from Concord High, of course they used to call it senior levy back then. I don't know where the levy came from, but they had the junior prom, and then they had the senior levy. And that usually was at the Highway Hotel. Now, I understand they've been going up to Shaker Road, up to the old Hicks Country Club or Shaker Road School up there. And they have fireworks, from what I understand now. And I guess it's quite a display from what I hear. When we can hear them banging over here off Manchester Street. But, far as some of the other activities, they were very low-key, unless you lived up on Auburn Street, that area, where they might have some little higher-class parties, but most of us, some of them just didn't have anything. And the high school, I guess, had either a punch and cookies type thing after graduation ceremony at Memorial Field, but, our class was like 375 students, I think. And they used to have the bandwagon on the field, and I've asked several times, why don't they use the bandwagon anymore? Nobody ever can give me an answer. But, and then, of course, you go on that next motorcycle weekend, but they don't bother Concord much anymore at all. Not like it used to be.
No, we will experience a lot of traffic through Concord. A lot of people stop and visit Concord. They stay in the hotels and a lot of the restaurants. Yeah, but we haven't really had too much difficulty with motorcycle weekend locally in a number of years.
And then, of course, you march on to the big Winston Cup, or what they used to call Winston Cup. Now I don't know what they call it, but anyway, the big race out in Loudon in July. But it really is kind of quiet. You don't hear too much.
Right, and you know, with race weekends, is typically we see a lot of you know, the hotels are full, the restaurants are packed, which is great for the local economy. You know, if we have any problems in town, they're relatively minor disturbances. But it's been knock on wood, pretty safe and uneventful for us.
But usually it comes down to the same old thing: domestics in the summertime, especially on these hot nights down in downtown Concord, maybe some of the side streets, Pennacook maybe, where you have the domestics as usual. A little bit too much booze. But what's really bothering me, is I read in the paper or even listen to TV is all these drug arrests that are going on.
That's correct, yes.
It's really, we don't really have what they call like a safe, I don't know if it's a safe house, what do they call it? Manchester Fire's got one.
A safe station.
That's it. We don't have one in Concord though, do we?
No.
That I know of anyway.
No.
Do you think you'll ever start one up here? Or?
I think that's you know, dependent on the fire chief.
Okay, so it's that strictly fire chief?
Yes, and so what we don't really have in Concord is the infrastructure that you say Manchester is using, where where people can come into the fire station and they can get quickly passed off to the recovery and treatment specialists, and sometimes you know, get into a rehab, you know, very quickly. We don't have that resource in Concord just yet. I don't know if we'll ever see it. But you need the entire framework in place to be successful. The larger cities such as Manchester or you know, more
Nashua.
They have a few extra resources that we don't have here locally. So,
I got a letter in the mail on Saturday that the Department of Transportation wants to have. They're having 2 public meetings coming up about expanding 89 at 93 intersection, and then also 93 going up to 393. And I thought, what in the heck? They just got done tearing that up. That means more work. How in the world are they going to ever expand 93 through Concord? I don't get it. Especially where exit 14 is. That means more work for you guys, I mean, in a way, but I don't know. Have you heard that one coming up at all?
Yeah, I was notified that they are having a couple of public hearings on that. I don't know when they're proposing to begin the project. But I think anybody that travels from the Massachusetts border on 93 through Concord, you know, if you travel that on a regular basis, it's all under construction right now.
Oh, I know.
And if it wasn't under construction, the gridlock that is occurring over the past several years,
it's horrible.
It's horrible. So I think that, you know, for the benefit of New Hampshire, I think it's worthwhile to do it, because if you don't do it, the gridlock is going to continue for the next decade.
And they don't mention nothing about trains, which really gets me. And we've got a big meeting tomorrow, because I'm on Transportation Committee, the State House, and we've got a meeting tomorrow about the train authority. But this is why you'd think, because of that gridlock, they would want the train in here. But anyway, we're getting away from what you want to do, what you're doing. But with the downtown the way it is now, have your guys experienced any more, or I shouldn't say guys, any more of your offices had any more, now it's coming with more problems with the new layout at Main Street at all? I mean, I find it confusing, okay, because I see these big tractor trailers parked right in the middle of the road, which I thought they couldn't use that middle section, but they are.
Right.
And sometimes you can't see around them if you're trying to get out of the side streets or something.
Right. So I think that it wasn't designed to have trucks park in that cobblestone median.
I know.
It's not. It wasn't designed for that. However, if you go to a larger city, you'll find that that's where the trucks do load and unload or offload their because there's really no place to put them
I know.
when they're delivering merchandise and supplies to the local merchants downtown. So they, in more often than not, they are very, very quick because they have an entire route to get to. So they'll stop in the middle, they'll unload, and then they'll move. They'll continue to go. So from a police perspective, we kind of allow it as long as they're not out there for an hour. But we also are trying to condition all of the trucks that do use that median to make sure they park on the opposite side or not too close to a crosswalk, because if you're trying to cross, you're clear on one side, but now you have to peek around the truck and the drivers
Sure.
can't see you coming. So we haven't had very, very many problems with pedestrian crossing on Main Street. The one-lane road, or the one lane each side, has been working pretty good. There hasn't been a lot of traffic congestion. Early on in the project, there was some confusion with the light signal on the pedestrian crossing at the intersection of Main and Pleasant Street.
Oh, yeah.
But that seems to have worked its way out since they completed the second phase, and it kind of tied itself into each other. Accidents along Main Street have been, pretty tame. We haven't really had many.
Yeah.
I think traffic. Somebody used the term that Main Street is less aggressive, and I see that. It seems like it's a lot more quiet when you're walking on Main Street, which I think is good. And the expanded sidewalks for some of the restaurants to put outdoor seating is beneficial. And it just makes it a little bit more lively. So I know that they're going to be starting to do some punch list items pretty soon, if they haven't started already. But you'll see them down there just making it.
What do you mean punch list?
Well, some of the crosswalks, some of the pavers may have broke or settled the wrong way. So even though the project's done, they're coming back to just correct some mistakes or warranty items. So you'll see some construction down there over the next few weeks.
I know the other day I was coming up South Main to Maine. They had something going on at the Capitol Center for the Arts. It was definitely for the kids. It was on school vacation week, but there was buses parked all the way from the Capitol Center of the Arts to Bridge Street, non-stop. There was no break. There was probably looked like a good 30, at least, school buses. They were in that lane, and traffic was backed up from miles behind them because they were waiting for the kids to come out, I guess.
Yeah, that's a problem when they're loading and offloading students there. And usually what happens when they have events in town, either at the State House or at the Capitol Center for the Arts, is the buses will stage down off of Store Street. And it's problematic when you do have 30 buses going up there at the same time.
They were all the way down. And, I mean, there wasn't like a little opening at School Street or Warren Street or Park Street, but not much. I mean, I had to make a turn up School, but they were solid right down to the lights at Bridge Street. I still call it Bridge Street, I don't care. But Bridge Street in North Main.
Yeah, well, I'll have to keep an eye on that next time.
Well, of course, again, it was school vacation week, and they must have been having some special shows during the daytime for them. But yeah, it was a problem.
Right.
And But I've seen some accidents there on the bridge there over Loudon Road and the river, and then over on Manchester Street. But they drive, I mean, they're speeding. I mean, they just don't, I don't get it. They just don't pay attention to the speed limits or anything. They're just trying to get, I don't know where they're going.
Yeah. I still refer to that as Bridge Street too, even though it's
I know, yeah.
But from Main Street to Bridge Street, where Bridge Street goes down to Fort Eddy Road, it's only a stretch of maybe a half of a mile.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of problems in that area with traffic accidents. A lot they continue or they have adjusted the light cycles over time, and that's kind of eased up on a lot of the accidents. But it's a heavily congested street, and speeding is not appropriate because there's so many lights there, and there's so much going on that accidents are going to happen, especially with speed.
Now, is there something, a piece of equipment that the police are hoping to get either donated or something? I want to say, I thought it was a part of their uniform or something, that when they get out of their cruiser or something, that either they had a camera or something that was recording, or I know I saw it in the paper, in the Manchester paper, about how somebody was donating X amount of those things for the officers. Have you heard anything like that?
Body cameras?
Maybe that's what it was.
There's a pretty significant debate over body cameras, that, whether or not police should wear body cameras, and it all stems from accountability. These debates really took off after the Ferguson incident, and maybe even the Baltimore, Maryland a couple of years ago. But one of my perspectives that I bring is that really the Concord police have a really good relationship with the community, and I think you're not going to find a finer organization in New Hampshire or in the Northeast anyway. And so our officers are extremely accountable and responsible and dependable. And the concept of wearing a body camera brings on a whole host of operational and administrative tasks about storage and recording and policies, and it's a huge expense.
Do you think you were going to might get a new police station someday?
Well, I would certainly hope so, because I think the police station is about 40 years old. It was never designed to be a police station.
Is it that old? Really?
Yeah, it was
wow.
It was built around. It started construction about 1973 or 74.
Yeah,
I think they occupied it in either 75 or 76. The third floor at the police station actually is about 30 years old. They put the third floor on about 10 years after.
Can they go any higher or no?
I don't believe that the structure can go higher. Certainly, you can go. You can build it backwards or to the side a little bit. But we're out of space. Our evidence storage is overflowing. We have people that have offices in hallways. We have two offices that were, less than 10 years ago were deemed as closets, and so that they're in those.
Where could you go though? Where is there land that maybe you could move it to? I mean, you kind of want to stay in the downtown area somewhere.
Well, certainly, I think that the location of a police department is certainly strategic. Much like a fire station, is you want the fire. You want to be able to have quick response times, and I think the same with the police. Most police stations are housed in a downtown area, so that people can come to the police department and they know exactly where it is. Since it's our central hub, we also want to be able to get the officers out of the building and to all parts of the city in a timely fashion. But I think that, and I've been talking about a new police station for at least 10 years. I think that the discussion has to start soon, because construction and site selection takes a long time.
Yeah.
And once you break ground, if you're going to build a brand new brick and mortar facility, it's going to take you a good 2 years before you move in. So, but that planning process has got to start soon.
Oh, I know, because I was looking at the other day, because my sister does live over there now at, what do you call it there? Firehouse block there, but she's in the newer portion, I guess, now. So she's kitty-cornered to the station, and I thought, I said, God, they've got to be overcrowded in there. I can't believe that they have plenty of room. I mean, because at one time, you must remember this, that they had the fire department dispatch in there too.
Correct.
And didn't they have like the third floor or something?
Yeah, the fire department occupied about half of the third floor.
Yeah, I was thinking so, yeah.
And half of the dispatch area.
Yeah. I thought, boy, that must have been a real Donnybrook. But no, I said, I just couldn't imagine where they could go. But there's got to be some place that they could build, either buy some property and tear on it, but I don't know. But I said they've got to be overcrowded in there. And City Hall is overcrowded anyways, you can tell with them. So I could see them just all moving right across there. But
right, I actually think that the current police department, the police station at 35 Green Street, is a extraordinary asset for the city of Concord. For the municipal complex. City Hall is is overcrowded. The annex is overcrowded. So I mean that the building itself is it's a solid building, and it's very spacious for offices, and it's just not really designed as a police station. The economy of movement, of getting bringing in a prisoner, if you will, and getting them to the booking room. They're on different levels. You have to go downstairs or elevators, and that's really not appropriate in today's world.
No.
And that's something that is a going concern for us.
You think every day, I mean, it must be on your mind, it would be on mine, I know, but every day when you hear the news in some school, kids, and these are down now, these are young kids too, taking a knife to school, or elementary, or junior high or middle school taking a gun or something. That's got to be, it must be in the back of your mind. What in the heck is that? I mean, the officers have got to be prepared for that, I'm sure.
They are.
But it's scary to think that a kid in the 5th grade or 4th grade would have a list of names and a night to go to school like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And when you do this line of work and you see this and you go to these types of calls over and over again, police officers, they almost become immune to it. They just kind of it's just like almost routine for them to handle these types of calls. And for the ordinary person that reads it in the newspaper or sees it on television, it's quite shocking. But for most police officers, it's just day-to-day business.
Oh, it just makes you wonder, where are these kids getting this from? From the TV, from watching other? I just, we're very lucky here, and we've had a couple of incidents, but since you've been chief, I don't think there's been anything, has there?
We haven't had it. We've had a few incidents at the schools, but nothing that I'm sitting here today that strikes me as a critical incident.
And of course, we've even mentioned Pennacook because they are part of Concord. No matter what, they are Ward 1 of Concord. So Merrimack Valley up there, or even the well, it used to be the Washington Street School, but where is that? That's located down by the Manor Station now.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So.
I think that like the high schools, Concord High School and Merrimack Valley High School, are we have school resource officers in both of those schools, and those officers do a tremendous job, and they have a good relationship with the students, good relationship with the staff, and so I think that that's what all high schools need, and in fact, I actually think that middle schools really would benefit.
I do too.
By having a school resource.
I do too. I agree with you. The other day I was down to Hannaford and I met one of your officers by accident. He was behind me in line, I guess, or one at the express line. And he had a jacket on or something. He was obviously off duty. I said, "Are you a police officer?" And he said, "Yeah." Well, I said, well, I could tell. I said, "I just knew it." And it was Officer Steve Hemming.
Yep, Hemming.
Hemming or Hemming?
Hemming.
Hemming, very nice, very nice. He had a nice attitude, spoke to different people, and I told him, I said, "Well, it was very nice to meet you," and I told him who I was, but, he seemed very pleasant. Yeah. So are you at full force yet, or no? You're still...
Well, as we sit here in the middle of May, I'm actually have 7 vacancies for police officers.
Wow.
So anybody watching this show, they're welcome to go to the city's website, the police department's website, and see what it takes to be a Concord police officer, and fill out an application. It's essentially an open application process, so it's we don't close it. So
Wow.
all the qualifications and requirements are all listed right on the website.
When I think years ago, there's my ding ding. When I think years ago when I first started dispatching, and gosh, compared to today, we were lucky we had typewriters and we had no computers, nothing perfect. We had to call state police for a motor vehicle listing or a record check or something, but just amazing, all the ones that we had back then. I was at county on the midnight day shift or the relief shift, and it's just amazing how things have changed.
Yeah, that's the way I started. You had a pen and a piece of paper that had carbon between it, and that's how you had to write reports in triplicate. And it's the technology has changed. We've seen an explosion or an acceleration of technology when it comes to computers and all sorts of gadgets and cell phones, and so it's incumbent upon all of us to keep up. If we don't keep up, we're going to get left behind.
And it was funny because, and I know I got to close out, but it was funny because county was still on the 10-4 answering. When we went to you folks to call you, because you're on the 10-5. And I used to say to Shirley Welch, she was my supervisor, "How come they're 10-5, we're 10-4? She said, "Well, that's because we haven't switched over to that, whatever, manner of answering." She said, we're on the 10-4 codes.
Right, and in fact, today a lot of police departments have essentially or abandoning the 10 code system and actually just talking plain speak on the radio. So to alleviate any confusion, if somebody didn't understand what a code was, it could send them a mixed signal or miscommunication. So if you listen to the scanners today, a lot of the officers are just speaking like we're talking right now.
Yeah. Well, we've come to overclose on this show, and it's such a good time to have you here, Chief Osgood. Now I've got to get my... it's terrible. It's awful, but that's what happens when my stroke... It's gotten worse with my stroke. Sometimes I just forget. I can't remember. I know who they are, but I can't remember names. But anyway, as I told you before, you have a standing invitation to come in anytime.
Well, thank you.
I love it when you come in and talk and bring us up to date what's going on with the police department. If there's anything we can do, please let us know.
Just get us a new police station.
Well, if I win Megabucks or Powerball, I will give you the money once I get my train tracks up here.
Okay.
Gotta get Amtrak first, then I'll give you the station. But that'll be a laugh and a half. That'll never happen before I die. But anyway, well, you need one. So yes, I know my things go on. So anyway, have a great day. Keep your offices safe, and we hope to see you soon. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us around town. Thanks to Ian, my director, and we'll see you all soon.